Part 108. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1075. A few days later, Mu Zi saw old man Huang and Du Hao at home. They were called by Murong Cheng from Xinjiang after the accident in the casino. They were exorcising evil spirits and arranging feng shui. In the days when Mu Zi was preparing to file a lawsuit, they were also busy talking non-stop. Now that the work was over and the weather was calm, Murong Cheng called them to the island again. To see Mu Zi. Mu Zi was sitting on the sofa. Huang Logui looked around her twice and a half, nodded while watching. Well, not bad, very good. Murong Cheng thought Huang Logui said that his soul was well maintained. As a result, Huang Logui finally said, fat has grown on the face. Murong Cheng's complexion immediately darkened. Mu Zi can't help but laugh. Recently, she seems to have lifted a big stone from her heart. She eats well and sleeps soundly, and her face is indeed rounder than before. Murong Cheng took them to the study, while Mu Zi went to the kitchen to order the servants to prepare tea and snacks. Huang Logui has a tricky mouth. When he fled, he ate everything and didn't pay much attention to anything, but as long as he got involved with the rich and powerful, he would not wrong him at all. He had to have the most high-end clothing, food, housing, and transportation, and afternoon tea was a must. While preparing the snacks, Wang Zhan also came, looking in a hurry, with a laptop under his arm. Mu Zi asked the servant to prepare another refreshment. When it was ready, Mu Zi brought it upstairs in person, lest the servant enter the study recklessly and be blamed by Murong Cheng. She was carrying the tray, so she walked very slowly, with soft steps. On the tray were 4 cups of black tea, cotton cakes, and meringue puffs, all of which Huang Logui liked to eat. When he was about to walk into the study, he heard old ghost Huang slap his thigh and said, "Look! This is a ghost slapping his head." "I'm right, did you see him nodding his head?" Mu Zi frowned and walked in. "What is a ghost shot?" "Ah!" Old ghost Huang screamed in fright. Seeing Mu Zi, he was still in shock. "You're not even afraid of ghosts, you're afraid of people," Wang Zhan satirized him angrily. Just because Huang Logui cheated Murong Cheng of money, Wang Zhan has never had a good face towards him. Huang Logui patted his chest with lingering fear and muttered, "Steward Wang, no one is afraid of ghosts. If you meet ghosts, you can use amulets and ancient jade to block them, but if you meet people, nothing can stop you. This makes sense." Wang Zhan stopped targeting him, raised his hand to take the tray from Mu Zi, and put it on the table. "What are you guys talking about? What is a ghost shot?" Mu Zi was still puzzled. Her eyes fell on the laptop in front of Murong Cheng. On the computer screen is the monitoring screen of Sun Wei committing suicide by jumping off the building. No one in the study made a sound. Murong Cheng didn't speak. They didn't know if they could tell Mu Zi about this matter. It was safest to just shut up. Sun Wei died strangely. Maybe he didn't really commit suicide, but a ghost slapped his head. Murong Cheng pondered, and said, "It is said that it is a sorcery commonly used by people who raise ghosts." Mu Zi frowned even more when she heard this. She walked over and carefully watched the surveillance video. Because of the angle, only Sun Wei's back can be seen. Sun Wei walked straight along the corridor, and at the end was a large sliding window. He pushed the window open naturally, and then climbed onto the window sill without any hesitation in the whole process. When he stood up straight, the wind outside the window was blowing, the hem of his clothes was blown up and down, and if he took half a step forward, his body would be smashed to pieces. Even if there is no sound effect, Mu Zi's heart can't help but hang high when seeing such a scene. Then, she saw Sun Wei's head nod slightly, and then his whole body fell down with inertia and disappeared into the window. Mu Zi closed her eyes, Her breathing was a little difficult. Murong Cheng closed the computer and sighed lightly. I didn't want you to read this, but I was afraid that you would think wildly. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1076. But since Mu Zi asked, if she didn't explain clearly, I'm afraid she would become more cranky. Mu Zi's voice was tense. This kind of thing, will it happen again in the future? In the future, will there still be gamblers who are bewitched and driven to commit suicide by jumping off a building? Murong Cheng frowned, and looked at Huang Logui. Everyone else also looked at Huang Logui. It's not that easy, Huang Logui disdainfully said. If you want to do a ghost pad, first you have to get the other party's birthday horoscope, and then make a kind of introduction, and sprinkle 3 drops on the other party quietly. Whoever dies will die, otherwise, wouldn't the world be invincible? Wang Zhan complained irritably, evil tricks are really troublesome. Now that we know that the other party has raised ghosts, are there other aspects we need to beware of? This. Huang Logui hesitated. It depends on how far the person raising the ghost has raised the ghost. Huang Logui explained, when a person just dies, he is like a newborn baby. He can't see or hear anything clearly. After a long death, he can see the picture clearly and hear the sound clearly. If you die for a long time, your soul will become a ghost. If you feed it with a living soul, if you tame it properly, it can be used for many purposes, and ghost pats on the head are just one of them. The more powerful the ghost is raised, the more things it can do, but the more powerful the ghost, the smarter it is, the more disobedient it is, and it is easy to eat back at the owner. Therefore, people who raise ghosts pay attention to being half-starved, which means that they cannot be fed. Otherwise, you will get greedy, and the ghost will eat your soul together. The volume of Huang Logui's last sentence was slightly sharp, and Wang Zhan couldn't help shivering. He would rather be stabbed to death or shot to death than die in the hands of ghosts. It's too scary. However, the old ghost Huang is endless, and he is still talking. Actually, ghosts are not as scary as you think. They can't touch people. What should we do when they want to harm people? Our old saying is called charming mind. Hey. Use now in scientific terms, it's called interfering with brainwaves. When the brainwaves are chaotic, don't people become confused? Do whatever you want to do, jump off a building if you're told to jump, and when it's time to jump, the person should wake up, with a bit of head and eyes open. It's over, braids. Wang Zhan could hear goosebumps. Come on, you can't stop your mouth if you have something to drink and eat. Du Hao was humble and said with a smile, Mr. Wang's words are easy to understand. It's easy to say, Huang Logui grinned, picked up a piece of cake and ate it. They were chatting and laughing, but Mu Zi was depressed and could not relax. Mu Zhenning was a thorn in her heart. She can accept Mu Zhenning to let go of the past and look for a new life. It can also be accepted that Mu Zhenning died unfortunately and never existed in this world again. The only thing she couldn't accept was that Mu Zhenning lived with hatred, paranoia, and madness, dormant in the dark, ready to give her a fatal blow at any time. This feels so creepy. It's like being aimed at the black muzzle of a gun, but you don't know when it will shoot the bullet. At night, Mu Zi tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. Thoughts by day and dreams by night, she suspected that once she fell asleep, she would have nightmares. Maybe she kept moving, and Murong Cheng beside him couldn't sleep well either. He heard the wind whistling outside, suspected that the window wasn't closed tightly, so he got out of bed to close it. As soon as he walked to the window, Mu Zi sat up on the bed suddenly. Murong Cheng was slightly taken aback. In the next moment, Mu Zi rushed over and hugged him tightly. Murong Cheng was stunned at first, but then he couldn't help laughing when he remembered what Huang Logui said. He stroked Mu Zi's hair, and said softly, "This is the second floor, Even if I jump down, I won't die. Such reassurance does not work at all. Muzi's hands and feet were cold, and her whole body was shaking violently. She hugged Murongcheng more tightly, wishing to embed her whole body into his body. Murongcheng finally realized that this was not the time to joke around. He carried Muzi back to the bed, hugged her in his arms, and patiently stroked her slender back over and over again, like comforting his own cat. Zizi, no one can kill me except you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1077. Muzi slowly woke up. She was half dream and half awake just now, and she was hysterical for a while. When she saw Murongcheng walking to the window, her mind went blank, and she almost rushed over without thinking. Now that he has recovered, he realizes how ridiculous his behavior is. Thinking of Murongcheng's coaxing words to herself, she murmured softly, "What nonsense, I'm not that capable." Murongcheng lay down with his arms around her, with a playful smile in his voice, "You are very capable, you can miss me to death if you don't see each other for a few days, you can starve me to death if you don't kiss me for a few days, and if you don't." The voice is getting lower and lower, and finally submerged in the darkness, only more and more rapid breathing remains. New Year's Eve is coming up in February. Zhonghai City receives a large number of overseas tourists all the year round, and almost every day is like a festival. When it really comes to the Lunar New Year, the flavor of the year is not enough. Muzi was woken up early in the morning by Murongcheng, who said he wanted to give her a surprise. When the two arrived at the port, Muzi found a strange-looking big car parked in front of him, silver-gray, huge in size, somewhat resembling a bus, but not quite like it. Murongcheng opened the door and let her in. The interior is high-end and gorgeous, with a complete kitchen and bathroom, exquisite home furnishings, and a spacious and comfortable double bed on the upper floor. This is a luxury car. Because of the exquisite design, it will not feel cramped at all. People can sit in it and travel, and they can enjoy the scenery along the way very comfortably. But what did Murongcheng buy the RV for? No matter where they go, there are special cars and planes to pick them up, so they don't need such things at all. Just as Muzi was thinking this, the car suddenly moved. What? Muzi turned her head to look over, and saw that Murongcheng was already sitting in the front driver's seat, and started the car. "Where are we going?" Muzi leaned over, not knowing why. "Go out for the new year." Murongcheng's eyes were fixed on the front, with a faint smile on his lips. "It's just the two of us, okay." "Ah," Muzi was surprised, "I didn't bring anything. Change of clothes, toiletries, nothing prepared." "It's enough to bring your little lazy pig." Murongcheng smiled, "Other things will be prepared." "Then where are we going?" Muzi asked again. But Murongcheng triumphantly said, "Secret." Alas, Muzi stretched out her hand and poked him on the forehead. Murongcheng refused to tell, so Muzi didn't ask any more. It wasn't the first time he had a whim, so Muzi played in the car with peace of mind. Curious about the design of the bathroom, she wandered around and then went to the kitchen. Of course, the space in the kitchen cannot be compared with that at home, but there are many built-in storage drawers. When you open it, you will find that it is full of food, and the freezer is also full, including chicken, duck and fish. As for the second floor of the caravan, half is the sleeping place and the other half is the terrace, but now that the car is driving, it is very windy outside, so Muzi didn't go out, and only played on the bed for a while. There are two big drawers under the bed, which are full of her and Murongcheng's clothes, even underwear. You don't need to think about it, you know, it must be picked by Murongcheng himself, so he won't let his servants touch these things, even the maids. Holding those close-fitting underwear, Muzi's cheeks felt hot unknowingly. At this moment, Murong Cheng called her name. "I'm thirsty, peel an orange for me to eat," he said. Muzi climbed down, picked out what she thought was the plump and softest orange from the fruit basket, went to the front passenger seat, peeled the orange petal by petal and fed it into Murong Cheng's mouth. "It's too sour." Murong Cheng freed up one hand to grab Muzi. "Let me kiss you quickly to make up for the sweetness." "Don't make trouble, let's drive." Muzi dodged in fright. "Look at the road. If you keep hiding, I'm going to let go." Murong Cheng gestured to let go of the steering wheel with both hands. Muzi was frightened to death, and quickly touched Murong Cheng's lips, and he was satisfied. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1078. The road conditions were smooth and there were few vehicles along the way, so their journey was very smooth. Except that Murong Cheng insisted on making a work occasionally, looking for excitement. After a lot of times, Muzi also understood that he had been driving for a long time, so he used her to relieve his boredom. What a bad guy. When they passed by a gas station, they met a few young people who were on the road, and when they saw Murong Cheng and Muzi's RV, they all showed envious eyes. One of the boys chatted with Murong Cheng and asked, "Dude, your car is really nice, where are you going to play?" Murong Cheng didn't put on airs, he talked to the man like an ordinary self-driving tourist. "Let's go to Xiaoshui." The other party obviously traveled frequently, and upon hearing the name of the place, he asked, "Xiaoshui? Is it Xiaoshui on the west side of the mountain?" "Well, it's over there." "That's still a long way off, buddy, and the journey will take at least 10 hours. Murong Cheng smiled and said, "There's no rush, just go shopping as you go, as long as you arrive before New Year's Eve." The other party laughed. "Yes, of course you don't need to worry if you have this car. Haha." After chatting for a few words, the gas was refueled, and Murong Cheng got into the car and set off again. Muzi shyly sat beside him and asked him, "Why do you want to go to Xiaoshui all of a sudden?" Murong Cheng glanced at her and asked back, "Don't you want to go?" "Nonsense, I never said that," Muzi retorted. Murong Cheng stared ahead and jokingly said, "Oh, what about now? Do you want to go to Xiaoshui?" Muzi pursed her lips, whispered a word, "Think." Xiaoshui town is Suzi's hometown. She originally planned to go back to Qingming Festival to pay homage to her grandmother, but Murong Cheng had a whim and took her back to her hometown for the new year. That was a real surprise. During the 10-hour drive, Murong Cheng drove calmly, stopping to rest when he encountered a place with good scenery, and finally arrived at Xiaoshui 2 days later. In the quaint and quiet town, a huge and luxurious RV suddenly drove into it, attracting people's attention. The roads in small towns are not as open as in big cities, and there are naughty children running around in the streets from time to time. Murong Cheng drives carefully. The surrounding scenery became more and more familiar, even though the former relatives were no longer there. An indescribable enthusiasm still surged in Muzi's heart, flowing along the limbs and bones, feeling warm. Murong Cheng bought her and grandma's old residence together with the house next door. The 2 yards were opened up, just enough to park their RV. There is an elderly couple helping guard here. When Murong Cheng arrived, the old couple handed the key to Murong Cheng, said Happy New Year and left with a smile. Murong Cheng moved all the New Year's goods on the car down, while Muzi, like a bird, couldn't wait to run into the house. The house was cleaned immaculately. The prickly pear on the windowsill is still green and lovely even in the cold winter months. The furniture and seats are all solid wood, simple in shape, durable. The furnishings cannot be exactly the same as before. After all, this house was sold to someone else, but it is already very good, already, very good. She walked to the threshold and stroked gently along the outer corner of the wall. There were vague scratches on it, which were marks made by her grandmother when she was measuring her height when she was a child. These small details made Mu Zi's eyes slightly moist. It happened that Murong Cheng came in carrying a box of fruit. Mu Zi picked up a small stone from the yard, pulled Murong Cheng to stand by the door, put his feet up, and carved a bit on top of his head. Immediately there were more scratches on the corner of the wall. "It's so tall," Mu Zi smiled. Murong Cheng leaned over and kissed her. "What a silly girl. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1079. The house was tidy and clean, and they didn't need to be busy cleaning it. The two walked around inside and out, and then went to the town's market to shop. "I bought spring festival couplets and window grills, as well as many fireworks and firecrackers, all for the new year." Murong Cheng saw someone selling kerosene lamps in the market, and thought they were new, so he bought two. He also saw someone selling handmade cloth shoes, and thought it was interesting, so he bought a few pairs according to his own size. The appearance of him squatting in front of the stall and choosing carefully, he is meticulous, rare, and cute, like a big boy. Mu Zi looked at him and felt that the moment was extremely good. They bought a lot of things and went home, put up window grills together, and after the window grills were pasted, they put up spring festival couplets. The spring festival couplets could not be pasted, and the scotch tape was not sticky on the rough concrete walls. It happened that the neighbor next door was also pasting it. Mu Zi asked the neighbor's aunt for some paste. The aunt knew that the young couple had just moved here and was very hospitable. "Send them peanuts and chestnuts to eat." In the evening, I ate hot pot. For two people with limited cooking skills, hot pot is the safest dinner. After eating, Mu Zi and Murong Cheng huddled lazily under the blanket, cuddling each other, peeling peanuts and chestnuts to eat. The old house has neither heating nor air conditioning. There is a charcoal stove in the house, and the leftover peanut shells and chestnut shells are thrown into it. Mu Zi looked at the flickering fire, and returned to her childhood in a trance. She told Murong Cheng an interesting story about her childhood. During the Chinese New Year, she loved to bake everything: sweet potatoes, taro, beans, oranges, bananas. Unknowingly entered dreamland. I don't know if she talked about eating too much, and she was so greedy. She really dreamed that there were two roasted corns lying on the stove, which were fragrant and steaming. She reached for it. Grandma stood at the kitchen door and said, "Greedy cat, be careful of burning." She looked up at her grandmother. She was still the same as she remembered, wearing a blue-gray padded jacket, wearing floral cotton armholes, her hair neatly combed. She was a decent and capable old woman. Grandma held her back and looked her up and down. Seeing some wet marks on her shoes, she immediately raised her face and taught her a lesson. "Are you going to play by the river again? How many times have I told you, Zizi, you have to be obedient. Stay away from the water." She remembered that there used to be a blind fortune teller in the town who told her that there was a catastrophe in her life, and that she would suffer at least, or lose her life at worst. Grandma is very superstitious, and since then she has been prevented from going to the river, and water parks and swimming pools have always been avoided. Grandma babbled a lot, but she was like an ignorant child, staring at the corn on the stove, unable to listen to a word. When Grandma finally left, she couldn't wait to pick up the corn on the stove and gnawed it with her mouth open. Just picked it up from the stove, it should be very hot, but in the dream she didn't feel it was hot. She gnawed it with relish. As she was chewing, she suddenly felt someone pulling her beside her. When she lowered her head, she saw that there was a child beside her at some point, about 2 years old, looking at her eagerly. "Do you want to eat too?" she asked. The child does not speak. She grabbed a few corn kernels with her hands and fed them into the child's mouth. The child pursed his mouth as if chewing hard. She couldn't help worrying, "Do you have teeth? Can you eat corn?" The child is engrossed and still chewing hard. She was anxious, "Speak up. Do you have any teeth?" At this time, the child grinned and shouted loudly, "Mom." In the dream, she was taken aback, sat up from the bed suddenly, and woke up with fright. Murong Cheng also woke up immediately, stroked her back, felt a little sweaty, and couldn't help asking, "Did you have a nightmare?" "No, no," Musa panted, and gradually came to her senses. It wasn't a nightmare, or, it was just a sudden shock. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1080. What kind of dream? Murong Cheng asked her. It's just. I didn't know where to start. Said she dreamed of a child calling her mother? It's embarrassing. I dreamed about Grandma I said with a guilty conscience. Murong Cheng raised his eyebrows slightly, dreaming about your grandma, what's so frightening? Dreams, they're all messed up, I can't tell I defended, not wanting to mention the child. Murong Cheng hugged her and lay down again, lazily said, "Unfortunately, I want to dream of your grandma, so I can count as having met the elders anyway." I couldn't help laughing. "Don't worry, we'll see you soon." On the first day of the new year, I took Murong Cheng to the grave to pay homage to her grandmother. Murong Cheng burned a lot of paper money and ingots, and said with a serious face, "If you are short of food and clothing down here, you must remember to entrust me with dreams." I smiled and said, "If you want to entrust your dream, you will entrust it to me, who will take care of you." Murong Cheng turned to look at her. "Aren't you afraid of being scared?" "Nonsense," I pinched his face, and then said to Grandma's tombstone, "Grandma, don't listen to him. You want to dream me up, I'm too happy, how can I be frightened?" At this time, a gust of wind blew by, and the ashes flew into the air with sparks. I hurriedly avoided, almost burning her clothes. Murong Cheng immediately gloated, "Grandma is teaching you to be virtuous and not to touch your husband. You man." I glared at him angrily, "Be serious." Murong Cheng smiled, lit 3 incense sticks, and said, "Grandma, you have a spirit in heaven, bless Zizi to give me a child this year, preferably a girl, no matter who she looks like, she must be cute." After all, he respectfully bowed in front of the tombstone, looking very pious. I looked at him, and for some reason remembered the dream last night. She and Murong Cheng have been married for half a year, and there has been no news about her stomach. She wonders if she will be able to conceive this year. I subconsciously stroked her abdomen. Murong Cheng glanced at her, laughed, and raised his hand to touch her head. "You don't need to be stressed, I will continue to work hard." I bit her lip and stomped on him hard. What a mouthful. This kind of place doesn't know how to restrain itself. After the worship was over, the two went to the river, imitating some ants, and used rice to draw a circle on the empty bank, and burned paper for MRSMU in a foreign land. Bai Wei used to do this, but now that Bai Wei is not around, Murong Cheng does it for her. While burning the paper, neither of them spoke. About the same time I thought of Bai Wei. When they get along normally, both of them will avoid this topic by coincidence. I is afraid that Murong Cheng will be sad, and Murong Cheng is unwilling to make I worry. There has been no news for such a long time, no one can be found, no letter can be heard, and it makes people worry about it when it is mentioned. Murong Cheng broke the silence and said, "There is no news, maybe it's good news. If Mom recovers her memory, she will let me know no matter what." Muzi I gave a low hum, and wanted to sigh a bit. There is no news for so long, Bai Wei is afraid that she is still suffering from amnesia. Because of amnesia, he didn't know how to escape, and he didn't know how to report to his family, so he let Mu Zixuan fool him. They were afraid that Mu Zixuan would hurt Bai Wei, but in fact, they hurt Bai Wei even more to recover her memory. That would be too cruel for Bai Wei. Muzi I also imitated Murong Cheng's appearance just now, put his hands together, closed his eyes and said seriously, "Master Mu, you have a spirit in heaven, you must bless us to find our mother as soon as possible." The paper money burned into ashes, became light and fluttering, and when the wind blew, it swirled and floated to the river. "Maybe it will come true." Murong Cheng looked into the distance and said with a faint smile, "Master Mu should be so angry that his son abducted his woman, and quickly help us find someone." Muzi I was completely helpless with his mouth. "Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1081. Muzi I and Murong Cheng lived in Xiashui town for 10 days. There are no entertainment items in the town, and the two spend most of their time at home, eating and drinking, or doing some boring things. Like an ordinary couple with nothing to do, living the most heartless days. This was probably the happiest time for Muzi I and Murong Cheng. Years later, the two slowly purchased ingredients and items, filled the caravan, and set off again. But it's not a return journey, but continue to go north, to Jingling. February 26th is the start of the new semester. Muzi I and Murong Cheng played on the road for 2 days, and finally arrived in Jingling City on the 25th. From the southernmost to the northernmost, from the blue waves and green fields to the snow in the sky, the scenery changes along the way, which is too beautiful to behold. Maybe it's not that the scenery is so good, it's just that there is a lover by my side, and I think everything is beautiful and romantic. At the beginning of the new semester, there are fewer theoretical courses and more practical courses. Students are required to complete 75 hours of social service activities in institutions such as city halls and welfare homes for the disabled, such as labor services and legal consulting services. Fortunately, the time can be arranged freely, which makes the students much more relaxed. Most people's approach is to rush to complete the work in the first 2 months. In this way, there will be a lot of free time later, which can fully prepare for the final thesis. Muzi I also arranged this way. She did the math, as long as she takes an average of 2 hours a day to participate in social service activities, it can be completed in less than 2 months. If you pump 4 hours a day, that month will be completed. Muzi I's privileged status showed its advantages at this time. People from the presidential palace helped her contact a children's welfare home, which was relatively close to her residence, and the facilities were complete. In the past, Muzi only needed to do volunteer work and occasionally provide some legal advice to those who came to adopt children. Easy to say. The other students in her class can only rely on themselves, search online, and then call one by one. In some places, interviews are required, which is very troublesome. The place Zainan finally settled on was also a welfare home. The scale is small, and it is very far from the city center. It takes 2 hours to take the subway and another quarter of an hour to ride a bicycle. For a fat person like Zainan, traveling is very hard. He is very envious of Zi. Muzi I remembered that she hadn't helped him a few times before, so she asked him if he wanted to go to the orphanage for children that she had arranged. At least it wasn't that far away, so there would be no crime on the way. Zainan Han waved his hands with a smile, and said, "No need, there is a shortage of manpower over there, so I can help if I go, and it has been agreed, we can't go back on what we say." "It's true." Muzi I smiled, "then you have to work hard, the road is very hard." Zainan honestly wiped off his sweat, and said, "Take it as a weight loss." Muzi I was amused by him. The days of going to school were as dull as water, and it entered March in a blink of an eye. Gui Yan is looking for a nest, willows are sprouting, the weather is getting warmer day by day, and Mu Zi's birthday is approaching day by day. Murong Cheng didn't remember her birthday, he only remembered Su Zi's birthday, so on this day, there were neither presents nor any blessings. Mu Zi didn't know whether she should be happy or angry. Quite a few students in the class sent blessing text messages, because the class address book contains the date of birth of each student, and it will be automatically reminded on that day. Zainan was more careful than others, and sent a birthday card to Mu Zi. The greeting card was opened, and there was a stamp inside, which happened to be issued in the year Mu Zi was born. Mu Zi didn't have the habit of collecting stamps, but she was very happy to receive such a gift. A classmate outside the classroom came in and told her with a smile, "Your flowers have been delivered, and they are waiting for you to sign for receipt at the school gate." Mu Zi was slightly taken aback. Could it be that Murong Cheng finally remembered? She went outside the school gate and saw the flower shop clerk holding a large bouquet of beautiful and enchanting black roses. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1082. Black roses have the meaning of tenderness and sincerity, but more people think that it symbolizes death, so it is rarely used as a gift. It's also hard to see in flower shops. When florists buy, they are more willing to choose red roses, pink roses, and white roses that sell well. Mu Zi took the bouquet of black roses, opened the greeting card, and saw the words "Happy Birthday," but it was not signed. "Who sent the flowers?" she asked the clerk. The clerk shook his head. "It's anonymous, I just said it will be given to Sidhu Musi of the Judicial Training Institute." Some florists do offer this service, in order to surprise and mystify the guests who receive the flowers. Mu Zi smiled and asked, "You just take money? I don't accept gifts from unknown sources." With that said, he returned the bouquet of flowers to him. The clerk was very embarrassed. "Miss, if you don't accept flowers, we won't be able to pay when we go back." Mu Zi was unmoved, and said with a smile, "Today is my birthday, someone sent me a black rose anonymously, do you want to curse me?" Obviously uneasy and kind, "Not only do I not accept this flower, I also want to complain to you, unless you tell me the identity of the other party." The thread of red fruit. The clerk had no choice but to call the owner. After some negotiation, he gave Mu Zi a phone number. The guest did not leave a name, but only a phone number. "We really don't know." Mu Zi looked at the string of numbers, said nothing, picked up the flowers, turned and left. She called Guanqi Shen, "Check this phone number, the owner's identity and call records, and send me a copy of the surveillance video near the flower shop." Shen Kong said yes. After entering the classroom, the flowers in Mu Zi's hand attracted onlookers. After all, black roses are very rare. "This flower really has a personality," a female classmate said. "It's a pity that it's still a bud. It will be very beautiful when it blooms." Mu Zi's eyes stopped on the black rose. "Yes. Why buds?" "Usually, there are only two kinds of roses as gifts, one is fully bloomed and the other is just about to bloom. But what's the point of sending such buds that haven't opened at all?" Mu Zi was very sure that friends she knew would not give her black roses, even if it was a prank. It was impossible. After finishing today's class, Mu Zi went to the Children's Welfare Institute as a volunteer. Because it is a project supported by the municipal level, the environment here is much better than that of many orphanages, and the children's food, clothing, and living conditions are relatively good. When no one needed legal advice, Mu Zi took care of the children with the staff of the orphanage. Most of the healthy children were adopted, and the rest were more or less physically disabled or born with diseases. For children who have no problem with physical activity, Mu Zi will take them to run and dance in the yard, and teach them some basic movements of boxing, which can be regarded as strengthening their bodies. After the activities, when they returned to the house, Muzi told them stories. Some children are very lively and like to interrupt, and every interruption can go far. For example, when telling the story of the Frog Prince, a little girl said that the frog eats flies and mosquitoes. If she was a princess, she would not want to kiss the frog. How disgusting! Muzi was dumbfounded. Later, I stopped telling stories altogether, and told them about the Encyclopedia of Animals, and taught them how to read by the way. The plan is to stay 2 hours a day, but always stay longer. Taking care of children will be tiring, but the mood is very relaxed, especially when seeing innocent smiling faces. I will also laugh innocently. After the end, I received a call from Shen Kong on the way home. The mobile phone number is empty. The surveillance video has been sent to your mailbox, but the angle is a bit off. It may not be worth searching. Muzi was silent. From this point of view, the other party came prepared. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1083. Muzi felt that the black rose was like a warning as well as a provocation. No matter who the other party is, its purpose is not pure. After thinking for a long time, she called Yu Yang, who was far away in Xinjiang City. The black rose imitator last time, how is it now? Muzi asked. Yu Yang was slightly stunned. You're still in prison, waiting for execution, why do you suddenly ask this? Muzi didn't answer him immediately, but asked again, is there any new progress in the case of Black Rose? No, it's been too long, and many clues have been invalidated. Unless the criminal commits crimes again, it will be difficult to continue the investigation. Yu Yang frowned, feeling that Muzi's call was strange. What's the matter, where are you, got a clue? I'm not sure if it counts as a clue. Muzi sighed, someone sent me a bouquet of black roses anonymously. This flower is rare. I really can't think of any friend around me who would send me this kind of flower. Yu Yang immediately asked, is there a registered name at the flower shop? I've checked, and the mobile phone number left is empty, and the surveillance didn't capture it. Muzi said, it's because I don't want me to find out my identity. But the Black Rose killer has never committed crimes in Jingling. Yu Yang's voice sank, obviously confused. Several incidents occurred in Xinjiang, or cities near Xinjiang, and never crossed the border of Wenzhou, so the police have always believed that the Black Rose killer may be a native of Xinjiang, or a foreigner who has settled in Xinjiang for a long time due to work. How could such a person travel thousands of miles to Jingling to send flowers to Muzi? The killer didn't even know Muzi at all. Why do you want to do this? Is it possible that your enemy is imitating Black Rose? Yu Yang tried to analyze. Now that there is a first imitator, it is entirely possible for a second to emerge. But, what's the point of imitating? Muzi couldn't figure it out. If you want to take revenge on me, why do you have to imitate others? These questions are all clueless. Yu Yang was also silent for a while. No matter what, you should be careful. Recently Yu Yang reminded her. Muzi nodded, yes, thank you. When she travels on weekdays, there are bodyguards all around, and ordinary people can't get close to her. Even in the training institute, the school gate is strictly controlled. Even so, just in case, Muzi asked Shen Kong to dispatch more people. Murong Cheng heard about this and called her to ask her. Muzi said, it's nothing, just on my birthday, someone gave me a bouquet of black roses. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Murong Chenjian, who is chasing you. Muzi not on a channel at all. After receiving the black rose, Muzi was vigilant for a few days, but she didn't find anything unusual around her. The classmates are still those classmates, the teachers are still those teachers, and there is no suspicious person near the residence. Maybe the other party was scared off by the heavily guarded bodyguards. In short, Muse's life was very peaceful, so she began to wonder if she was overthinking, maybe it was just a prank. However, the peaceful days seemed destined to be broken. On Friday night, Muse received a call from Zainan. Please. Please. Please come here, only you can help me. Zainan's voice was crying and incoherent. Muse was very surprised. What happened? Zainan, where are you now? I'm at the police station. The police station. Muse was even more surprised. What are you doing there? Are you okay? Please come quickly. Zainan on the other end of the phone was helpless and panicked. They said I was raped, they want to arrest me. Muse, what should I do? The school will definitely fire me. At the end of the voice, Zainan really burst into tears. What should I do? Blessed to have each other in this life, Muse Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HhandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1084. Muse immediately went to the police station. She couldn't believe that Zainan would rape a woman, she just felt that something must have been wrong. Zainan is the most honest in the class, he can blush and sweat nervously at a single joke, how could he rape others on the street? This is simply ridiculous. When she arrived at the police station, she immediately applied for bail for Zainan, but was rejected. Usually, when the evidence is solid or the nature of the case is extremely bad, in order to prevent the suspect from committing further crimes after bail, the judiciary has the right to reject the bail application. This means Zainan will stay in the detention center until the day of the trial. But if the court trial is fast, it will take a week. If it is slow, it will be scheduled for 2 months. Do you want Zainan to stay in it all the time? Muse approached the prosecutor in charge of the case. He is currently studying at the Judicial Training Institute without any criminal record. Moreover, he is still doing social service activities. Such detention will affect his normal life, and may even prevent him from graduating normally. The prosecutor knew Muse and knew that this was the president's daughter, so he said helplessly, Miss Sidhu, we found the victim's underwear on him, and we have every reason to believe that once he is released, he is likely to harass the victim again, so, sorry, we have to dismiss the bail application. Muse was stunned immediately, his head could not be turned for a long time. These, Zainan did not say on the phone. After a while, she asked, how much is the sentence? According to the rules, it is more than 3 years and less than 10 years. The prosecutor sighed. However, since he has no criminal record and has been humiliated before the incident, we can consider a lighter sentence, 5 years, no less. Gone. Muse frowned. Have you ever been humiliated? Yes, the victim took the same subway with him, and there was an argument and a lot of bad words. The prosecutor said, I think he might have a grudge, so he followed the other party afterwards and carried out the crime in the empty streets. Violence. Zainan didn't mention these things either. On the phone, she just urged her to come quickly, maybe she didn't have time to explain. Muse asked, the plea agreement is at least 5 years. The prosecutor nodded, we have witnesses and evidence. If he goes to court, he can be sentenced to up to 10 years. Especially since he is a student of the Judicial Training Institute, the jury hates those who know the law and break the law. In order to save each other's time, I think 5 years is already very preferential treatment. Muse was silent for a while, then said, I need to discuss with my client. Prosecutors have no objections. Muse met Zainan in a separate meeting room. His eyes were red, as if he had been crying. There were obvious cracks on the thick glasses lenses, which were knocked by the police when they pressed him to the ground when he was arrested. His shirt was also full of dust. Seeing his embarrassed appearance, Muzi I felt powerless in her heart. Zainan, did you do it? Muzi I asked. Zainan's emotions were about to collapse, and he emphasized hoarsely, it's really not me. What's the matter with the underwear? Muzi I looked at him with complicated eyes. Zainan, I am willing to help you, but you must tell me the truth. I really didn't lie to you, Zainan said painfully. I was just taking the subway home as usual, and suddenly someone threw me a pair of underwear on the way. Then the police suddenly appeared and arrested me. But I swear, I really didn't do anything. Even Muzi I couldn't believe this argument. If it was said in court in the future, who would believe it? Seeing that Muzi I didn't speak, Zainan became more and more anxious. I'm innocent. Muzi I know that you are the most serious lawsuit, please help me. I can't be expelled from school. I took the exam 5 times, 5 times. If I get fired, I really have nothing left.